Okay, welcome back. So we've allowed our hat to rest for at least 12 hours, and now we're going to reactivate it by getting it wet again, squeezing the water out, and slitting open our hat so that we can begin to work on the inside. So I've got my water right here. I am just dunking it in and squeezing out the excess moisture, okay? We may need more water as we go along. That's why we keep it handy. But for right now, that's all we need to do. And I'm just taking a small pair of embroidery scissors. And I am just running it in to open up this hole for the head. I tried not to cut my template, but I hit it right where it had folded up. So my template is going to be a little shorter the next time around, or I just won't use it in the first place. So you can see I got almost all the way through. I've got a couple of areas here I need to clip. Whoops. Please excuse the whiny ass dog in the background. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is open it up so that I have that seam where it was along the edge of the template. That left a little bit of a ridge, and I want to rub that ridge and get that nice and smooth so that we can wear this hat any direction we want to. And sometimes you won't be able to get that ridge completely out of there, but sometimes you will. And oftentimes I find it works really well to put your hand inside and just right where that ridge is, to let that be where most of your pressure goes when you're rubbing against the bubble wrap. And that's all we're doing, is we're just rubbing this against the bubble wrap. Now I need to rub the cut edge because I want to trim this so that it is a little more even, and I'm folding it not the way it was, but this is where the line was for the edging, so I'm folding it opposite. Here is where you can get a little creative with your design. If you want, you can flare it out a little bit more. This is a good time to start stretching it. Maybe you want it to be nice and uneven at the edge. That is quite all right, but this is a little too uneven for my tastes. So I am going to take, and after I give it a little bit of stretching and a little bit of rubbing right along that edge, I am going to take it and I am going to trim this edge a little bit more smoothly. And for this, I am going to use my big scissors. And I just want to make this a nice, smooth edge all the way around. And we've got it. So now I can take it and I can roll it in the bubble wrap, and we can roll these edges a little bit. Always helps to have a towel around, it really does. Just giving a little action right there on that edge. And seriously, little action. You saw how little I rolled that. You can do the same on this side. And then let's open it up. Let's see what we look like. You can see that the felting has happened quite nicely because we have been able to go all the way around, and we're starting to not see where those seams were at all. If you looked close, you could see them. Just take turns getting your hand inside there. You can also turn this inside out, and you can work from that side of your hat hand inside here again. And just turn it and rub it a little bit every so often. If it feels like it's getting too dry, get it wet, squeeze that water out, start rubbing again. I can feel the one seam on the one side, and I'm trying to make sure that we get this as even as we can. That's where my fingers are pressing the most as I'm rubbing this against the bubble wrap. And then you can stretch every now and again. I know it's hard to imagine that it wasn't that long ago that we couldn't lift our fingers off without causing some of those bits of fiber to move, and now we're giving it tugs and pulls and all kinds of stuff. So now it's in good shape, but we want to encourage it to felt a little bit more widthwise so that it won't be too big for our doll hat or for our head hat if we're making one people size. So we're just wrapping up, rolling up in the bubble wrap, and then rolling up in a towel and giving it, 20, 30, maybe 40 rolls, just to give it a little action along that axis from the brim to the tip of the hat. And you can see it's already starting to shorten up. And I can even get this at the almost halfway mark. And another few rolls. And I am going to go ahead and work this lengthwise as well, from both the brim to the tip and from the tip to the brim, because I want to make sure that we've got a nice strong felt no matter what direction we happen to be pulling and yanking. Flip it over, and we will give this a flip from this direction, and then I think we will be ready to take this to the sink and rinse it in hot water, then cold water, then hot water, then cold water, and then we can take a look at starting to block this on our doll. Let's take a look, open this up. I am feeling good about our hat here. Now, it will still full some more when we get that hot water, then cold water, and hot water, then cold water. But I want to get our doll, who is our sample here, and we're gonna take a measurement on her. Okay, so it's a little big, covers her entire head almost. There's something else we need to do before we rinse, and that is to stretch out our brim. And we're just taking and opening up that brim so that we can scrub it flat all the way around. Make your brim as big or as small as you want, but this is how you're going to do it. I don't worry if I'm scrunching up in the center. The majority of the effort and energy I'm putting right into the brim itself to flatten it out. So you can see just even that little bit was enough for us to get a nice brim. If you don't want to grab it in one hand, you can certainly just take it and spin it around a little bit at a time and flatten out that brim that way. This is going to be one epic witch's hat. And then hold the brim, and you can pull it up as tight as you want. You can even twist it if you want to. Let it dry however you want, but first thing we got to do is we've got to go rinse this. Now let's try it on our doll just even with this. Well, it is an epic brim, but brims are awesome because they can go up on the side, they can go up in the front. This is going to shrink just a little bit more, fold just a little bit more when I rinse it in hot water, then cold water, then hot water, then cold water. Then we're going to block it, which means just stretch it over our doll's head and pin it however, pin or pinch it or pleat it or however you want to add any extra little design elements with shaping, and then let it dry. And then our witch's hat is done.